Welcome to Queers and Quills, the official podcast. I'm audiobook narrator Kirt Graves. Every episode, I invite an attending author or narrator to join me for a one-on-one conversation about their lives and their art, so attendees and readers from across the world can get to know them not only as professionals, but as people. Joining me today is Bix Barrow. When Bix got an idea for her first book, it ended up turning into her second, and thus the first two stories in the Bent Oak, Texas series emerged. An aspiring author for most of her life, it took a foray into the romance genre to spark the humor and blazing banter Bix now weaves into her novels. Accompanying her on her writing exploits are her 4 dogs and multitude of cats. Her hobbies this year include making not-safe-for-work bead bracelets to hand out at Queers and Quills. Welcome to the podcast, Bix.
Thank you very much. I am super excited to be here.
So nice to meet you. So let's start at the beginning. What is your author origin story?
So, as it said in my bio, and like many authors, I wanted to be a writer, write novels my whole life since I was a kid. But I never really had like the big idea that I felt like I was driven to write down.
Mm-hmm.
I would think of little things here and there, but life got in the way. And then there was, when I was young, the whole traditional publishing process that was such a obstacle to get you into the author game. So I sort of just put it aside, and I think about it every once in a while, but life,
Right.
And then in 2018, I read my first queer romance novel, and that sent me down the queer romance rabbit hole. And at that point, I realized I had ideas. I had like real ideas. And maybe now that you could self-publish and do well doing that, maybe I should give it a try. And it was a long, long slog. And as my bio said, I started writing one book, and then I ended up writing the other book because it was talking louder to me. And I've since learned that that's not a good idea. But what did I know? And that's how it all started.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you remember what that first book you read was?
I don't remember what it was called. It was by Samantha Cole, who's a mostly MF author. And she had this book in the middle of her MF series. And I didn't finish the series because I went, over to the LGBTQ side at that point.
Welcome to our
Thank
side.
you. Thank you.
And what a time to find that genre. Because, wow, it was blowing up around 2018.
Yeah. It really was, because when I first started reading it, there wasn't a lot for me, because I like what I have since learned is low angst. And there was a lot of angsty stuff out there that I read, and it was a lot for me. So it took a couple years before it just boomed, and then suddenly I'm, spoiled for choices as to what to read.
No. On behalf of those of us who enjoy angst, my apologies.
It's not for everyone. Sorry, this is my cat, Zipper.
Welcome, Zipper. It's nice to have you here.
Yes, one of many.
Yes. That's great. So what was it about Texas as a setting that inspired you?
Well, I live here, but not for much longer.
Okay.
I'm moving this year. I'm so excited.
Here.
I'm so excited. It's been years. So I lived most of my life in Texas. I spent a little while in a couple other states, but my mom was by herself here in Houston. And so in 2010, I moved back and ended up buying the house next door to her. Um, it was nice. I'm glad I did it. It had its struggles, especially when I opened the gate between our backyards. Then I had no privacy. But long story. Anyway, so she was here, so I felt like I needed to be here. And so when I started to write, I just wrote what I knew because it was easier at that point than researching some other new place or somewhere else I had lived because this was easily accessible to me.
Right. No,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. Why set up a barrier for yourself with
Exactly.
a whole new thing that you have to research?
Exactly. I've had a couple
inevitably get something wrong, and then a reader will point it out, and
right.
People will be like,
I have had a couple of readers say, your books are so great. If only they weren't set in Texas. And I'm like, I feel you, but
it's not like Texas is getting the money from the book sales, so don't worry about it.
That's and especially when I go visit my dad and I'm writing at his house and he's got Fox News blaring and I'm writing a sex scene with, and I'm happy about that, that I can have my little protest right there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I live in Wisconsin, which is like the swingiest of swing states. So I think sometimes it's hard for people to reconcile the fact that like there are people on our side in every corner of the world.
Right. Exactly.
And people in every environment need to see themselves in what we're creating. So
exactly.
Yes, much of Texas is a more traditionally conservative area. Many of us would choose not to live in certain parts of that state, but even within Texas, there are places that would be like welcoming and joyful about our presence. And
absolutely.
And it's almost more important to represent the people who are in places where they don't feel safe.
Right. I am very worried about my trans friends down here. And
yeah. I think, reading can build empathy. And so, let's continue to put them in spaces where folks might actually find the story because of the setting and then be surprised by the very human and real people having queer relationships in books.
Right. Wouldn't it have been nice if queer people had been represented in media, way back when our current administration were young and they got to see that and know that these were real people. Anyway.
Yeah. So what were some of your influences, either growing up or as you started your author journey? What influences, what inspires you?
Growing up, I read a lot of, sci-fi fantasy and Mercedes Lackey, Lois McMaster, Bujold, all of those. And then, I'm addicted to the HEA, the Happy Ever After. And so romance was always a big draw for me. Usually with some suspense involved because I got bored with just the, romance, and especially looking back with the character archetypes that you run into in the MF genre, and that got old. So I was looking for extra things to add to that. So it's kind of driven me to feel like if I write a book that's just romance, I joke with my fellow authors that, there's no plot, even though the romance is itself the plot. I'm
right there with you. And I've talked about this publicly before, so I'm not like coming out on the podcast about, I need some sort of obstacle in a book other than the two people not getting together.
Yeah. And it's, harder for me to write that. I have more fun writing the action scenes and they're fighting off something or running from something or solving a problem than, the whole emotional arc.
Right.
Yeah.
I've talked about that many times on our other podcast because it's just, as a narrator, like obviously I have preferences, and I like variety, but
Right.
I really, really struggle with the books that are just like people in their own head. And the only obstacle is that they won't say out loud what they're thinking. And then you have like 80,000 words about two people just not admitting that they like each other.
My characters tend to communicate, and if they have one of those issues, it's resolved in the next chapter because I can't deal with that either. There are a couple of places where I've done it for longer, but it's never like the entire length of the story.
Well, and you can certainly have a really captivating story where like two people just aren't being honest with each other, but to me there needs to be an outside influence that's making that happen.
Right, exactly.
Some external fear or concern, but it can't just be the fear of he doesn't like me back.
Right.
You know?
Yes, exactly.
So for the record, I've done very few books where that's the actual case. So,
which is good.
So if you're an author of a book I've narrated and you're like worried that that's you, it's probably not, because I've done very few. And if I've worked with you twice, it means you are not that type of author. So, because I struggle to connect to those stories, which is a shame because sometimes they're really beautifully written characters and you can understand what's holding them back. It's not enough to sustain a novel.
Right. If I want to shake the character and say, what is your problem, the whole book, then that's an issue. You know, I have a novella where the main characters have a misunderstanding, but for most of the book, the one character is trying to tell the other one, you know, what the secret is, but keeps getting interrupted. And so it's kind of a comedy from that perspective, but at least he's trying, right? It's not like he's hiding this on purpose.
Yeah.
So
plus I heard the word novella, which means it can't go on forever and ever and ever.
Exactly.
And I also, because I just feel like character growth, character arcs are really stunted by that model. And I don't want to yuck anybody's yum, because I think there are people out there who really love that kind of like low stakes romance where it really is just two people navigating the getting together process.
And sometimes that's comforting and that's what you need because you have so much stress in the rest of your life. So, you know, I have no problem with that. I can't write it as well. So,
right. Well, speaking of your writing, if somebody's coming to your stories for the very first time, which ones would you want them to start with?
So I have two series. One is contemporary, the Bent Oak, Texas series, and then I have a paranormal series called Wonderfall, and it's actually set in the same universe as the Bent Oak, Texas series, but the characters have magic and they're psychics and paranormal creatures, as well as, you know, nerdy D&D references and Star Trek and all that sort of thing. So that was
Are you a Trekkie?
And I like Star Wars too. So
okay. So I come from a dual household. My husband is more Star Wars. I'm more Star Trek, but we exist together.
Why choose?
Why choose?
There's no reason.
What's your favorite franchise?
Of which? So, well, okay. Star Trek, I'm actually a Deep Space Nine person.
Okay.
And although I like all the rest of them, I have really fallen off watching anything in the past few years because at night after my day job, I'm writing. So I'm really not caught up on all the new, especially the Star Wars spin-offs that I look longingly at when I see the ads and
My husband is totally caught up on the Star Wars ones. I fell off a while ago because it just got to be too much.
Right. There's a lot.
There's definitely Star Wars and Star Trek glut for a little while, but I've really enjoyed the new Star Wars, the new Star Trek shows that have come out in the last few years. So those are waiting for you when you have the time and the bandwidth, and I think you'll really enjoy them.
I'm looking forward to that, but it might have to wait till I'm in the old folks' home, and I'll just have to binge watch them to keep myself occupied.
There you go. They will be there for you. So, probably on like a holographic projector at that point, just like
one can only hope.
Our very own holodecks in our old folks' homes where we can watch our old TV shows.
Of course, we thought we'd have that by now, but you know.
Yeah, well, fair enough. So, all right. Well, I have also asked you here to play a game. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So the rules of the game are simple. I have a deck of cards, and on each card is a question. The questions aim to learn more about you as a person. So some are biographical, some are hypothetical, some are just plain silly. But I will not be picking which questions you're going to answer. Fate is going to do that for us. So I'm going to deal 3 cards every round, and you choose one. Whatever card you pick, you are agreeing to answer, with a couple of exceptions. So if a question comes along that you don't want to answer, you have 2 opportunities to switch things up. You can turn the tables on me one time, forcing me to answer the question, or you can also discard one of the personal questions in favor of answering a more bookish question from the white deck. But then you only get dealt 1 card and you have to answer the question.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
Ready? All right, here we go. Card 1, card 2, or card 3?
3.
Describe your sense of humor in 1 word.
Sarcastic.
Oh, good. We'd get along. Yeah, I'm the same way. Card 1, card 2, or card 3?
3.
What are you most excited about right now?
Ooh, well, this podcast. I'm also excited about shared world I'm involved in that just got announced yesterday, and the reception has been great. It's called Love in Maplewood, and it's contemporary, low angst. There's no suspense, but I did have a subplot, so you know.
When does that come out?
My book comes out June 13th. The first one, Anna Ashley's book, releases May 16th. So we're going to do it weekly starting then. That's
probably right around when this podcast will come out. So friends, start looking for that series starting very soon.
Yes, and I will have illegally printed copies of my paperback before release day at Queers Quills.
I don't know that it's illegal. Could unauthorized?
I got permission. Yeah. Okay.
So it's even authorized.
It sounds better.
You just want it to sound. You want it to sound exciting, and yeah, I got it.
Exactly.
Come do something naughty at Queers and Quills and read my book. You're not supposed to have it yet. All right, card 1, 2, or 3?
Let's go with 3.
All right. If you were to die tomorrow, what little thing would you regret not doing?
Oh, my biggest fear is that I die before my animals die. And so, you know, I have provisions in my will for them, but I really worry about what will happen, especially I now have all of my mom's animals. And I thought she would be around a little while longer, and her animals are, you know, getting up there in age, and I thought that wouldn't be an issue, but very crowded at my house. So,
are they all indoor animals, or are some of them outdoor animals?
Well, the cats have become indoor-outdoor because there's just not enough room in my house. But the prospect of moving the 13 pets to the Pacific Northwest somehow is going to be super interesting. But
no goats or horses or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
No. Or not yet. I don't know where I'll end up living, so we'll see.
That's true.
But
a hobby farm up in the Pacific Northwest sounds like heaven.
Little goats in pajamas. Yes. I mean, yeah.
My husband's family lives up in Oregon, around Coos Bay.
Not-
And we went to visit his cousin, and I was quite surprised to find out they had llamas.
Oh, they didn't tell you in advance of your visit?
I guess it had never come up in conversation. Like, their llamas had never come up. And like, we pull up and like, what's that fenced in area for? Oh my God. Look at that giant dog. They were really beautiful and like friendly. And so that was fun. But I was like, all right, this is life in Oregon, at least the crunchy part of Oregon.
I'm going to have to end up somewhere crunchy, but, and probably isolated with my little menagerie. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Watch out for the big birds though.
Right. Yes. We're going to have a catio.
Yes.
So.
Very smart. All right. Card 1, card 2, or card 3?
Let's go with 3.
All right. What is the strangest skeleton you've ever discovered in someone's closet? And I assume we mean metaphorically, but if you have a literal answer, that's okay too.
Well, because I have a pet care background, so there's, skeletons somewhere there. Wow, I don't know. I can't answer that question. Let's do a bookish question.
Okay. Pulling from the white deck. Well, this isn't bad at all. You got lucky. All right. Do you prefer fiction or nonfiction, or do you like both?
Fiction.
Yeah.
I have trouble, unless I'm at work, I have trouble reading nonfiction. I buy the books with every intention of, reading about how to structure your story or whatever. And
Yeah. All right. Card 1, card 2, or card 3? I don't know why this is so focused on death. How would you like to die?
Wow. In my sleep without knowing it's coming would be really nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. The without knowing it's coming part has always been important to me too. I just don't want to have like a long decline where I'm aware of the fact that like
you're declining.
It's about to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick. Whatever the process, quick. Card 1, card 2, or card 3?
Go with 3.
What's the favorite thing you've bought this year?
Ooh, I bought a pair of boots with rhinestones all over them. So that's probably it.
Are those coming to Portland?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I went on Joel Leslie's Rainbow Readers Cruise last year, and he had the narrators do a drag show. So I also have a pair of boots with rhinestones on them.
Yours are probably more fabulous than mine. Mine have like rubber lug soles and skulls on them, but they're not sexy at all.
Well, I don't know that they were sexy on me, but I think that was their intention at one point. All right, card 1, card 2, or card 3?
Let's just go with 3.
Keeping it 3. What's your favorite gadget?
Ooh, there are so many. Honestly, okay, so I've been making these bracelets for Queers and Quills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've dabbled with making jewelry in the past, but it's been a long slog, and I'm not going to have enough for everybody, and I'm just sorry already. But when you make a bead bracelet, you cut a length of the string or whatever, and there's this little doodad that's a spring with little levers on the ends. You put the end of the string in between the spring's coils to stop the beads from coming off, and you don't have to tie a knot or anything. And it's my favorite.
Yeah. Anything that can save you time like that when you're doing something repetitive.
Exactly.
I am also making my own merch for Queers and Quills.
I don't recommend it.
I have yet to reveal what it is, so I won't go into details. But I will say it's with a recently purchased favorite gadget of mine that I've been making all my things. So I'm excited.
I'll come by and check it out.
Yeah. At least I don't think I've announced it. Now I'm questioning if I've talked about it on one of these podcasts already.
We'll pretend you haven't.
Right. All right. Card 1, card 2, or card 3. I'll never guess which one you're going to do.
Let's just go with 3 the whole way.
Okay. Ooh, have you ever had a nickname that you hated?
Okay. So my real name is Claire. And after Silence of the Lambs came out, people would call me Clarice. And I did not care for that.
Yeah.
And
with the cadence.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Card 1, card 2, or card 3?
Let's do 3.
All right. Have you ever been arrested? And if so, what for?
Sadly, no. It's on my bucket list.
Okay. Yeah.
But now I'm like afraid to be arrested for peaceful protests, so I'm putting that off for a little while.
We'll wait a little bit. Yeah, make some good trouble, but be careful, everybody.
Exactly.
Be careful. All right, last one. Card 1, card 2, or card 3?
Let's just do 3.
All right. If you could instantly become one, what would you want to be an expert in?
Ooh. Wow. I don't know. I'm going to turn that on you.
Okay, I often fantasize about having the power to like adopt someone's skill set, like just through touch or something. And the thing that I fantasize using that for the most is playing the piano. So I think if I could just snap my fingers and be a world-class piano player, I would put that to good use.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah. So that's my answer. So, that is our game. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. It's been really lovely getting to know you.
It's been super fun.
Good. And thank you, listeners, for joining us for Queers and Quills, the official podcast. If you are already signed up to attend Queers and Quills, make sure to say hello to me and Bix at the Oregon Convention Center in May. And if you're not, follow Queers and Quills on Instagram so you can see the fun we're having this year and get updates about ticket availability in the future. Until then, I'm Kirt Graves, and I hope you're having a very gay day. Queers and Quills, the official podcast, is produced and hosted by Kirt Graves, in coordination with Mahogany Mail and Marley Valentine. All copyrighted material is shared with permission. Music and sound effects are licensed through Storyblocks Audio. All opinions shared are those of the individuals and do not reflect the positions or policies of any company or organization with which they happen to be associated.